concerns that the school may have. And the other issue too, being a real estate broker myself, when I look at offers, I would like to see both proposals have some form of financing note secured with it. In other words, a pre-approval letter, a bank letter. Anybody can just write a letter and say, hey, I propose to buy this property, but do they have the financial backing or the ability to follow through with the process? And so I don't think the school district should be any different in the evaluation of their contracts. So again, I'm actually more in favor of the second one, which aligns with the idea of reducing the footprint of the development, allowing stacking so people could come in and out, but I want them to have like maybe a conditional approval that, if they can't secure financing commitment within 30 days, then it's done and we can rebid this, because, I just don't want somebody bidding here with, it's a false hope. I have realtors in here. I see one right now in the audience. She can probably understand that anybody can write an offer, but do they qualify? So I'm more leaning toward the second proposal that alleviates the stacking and that reduces the density, and just making sure that they have a conditional approval. And if they can't obtain conditional approval within, say, 30 days, then they're out, and we can rebid this out and allow somebody who has the means to be able to execute to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Aguirre. Recognized.
So here's my issue with this item. When we spoke about this, we spoke about this during the workshop. It came up before a meeting before. It was rejected by the city. We spoke about it again at a separate workshop, and we spoke about it again at a meeting previous to that. Each time we had the discussion, one thing was mentioned, and that was to go to the community and find out what the community wanted to do with this excess land that the district has. We have not done that. So we're failing to do the most basic thing, which is talk to the community to just sell this land for development. It goes contrary to, which one of your constituents has said, would you please sell that for more development? Not one. But we have had many, many constituents and community members complain that they do not want these projects built on this property. So as people who are supposed to serve the community, we would be ignoring them and doing them a disservice by going against their wishes to do this. I think that we absolutely need to have a forum where we talk to the community, find out what's an acceptable project, what they would like in their backyards. And to fail to do that is, it's disrespectful and it's irresponsible in my opinion. And in regards to the concern that Mr. Melendez had, I'm not sure. I would imagine that they did provide funding, right, Rose? Yeah, of course, right? Yeah. I would imagine that nobody would say, "I'd like to buy this for $5 million," and then be broke, right? So, yeah, I imagine, because it's a good point, but I figured it would not be the case. I would be surprised by that. So. I cannot, in good conscience, vote for this. The community has been very clear. They said, don't do this. So I'm going to obey my oath and not vote for this.
Can I ask a question of staff in regards to the stacking issue? During our conversations, I thought there was discussion that the access road to Columbia, is it that road that would help alleviate our issues around the school with the Starlight?
You want to?
Yeah, sure. Is it okay if I come up?
Thanks.
I just changed my name because I got married, so I don't know.
Get some. Party has been out pitching themselves to get on any media. They want to criticize Governor Ron DeSantis. Top of bowing out of the presidential race, Florida Democrats also say DeSantis is losing popularity in his home state. They pitched this network, this show multiple times, multiple members of the team over the past week. And each time we said, sure, we'll interview the state Democratic chairwoman, Nikki Fried. But here's the issue. When she or they realize it's me that will be interviewing her, she suddenly becomes unavailable. Why? Because they know that we have been following another story involving her and that I will ask tough questions, including about the state party protecting President Biden from a primary and not allowing another Democratic challenger like Representative Dean Phillips on the ballot. The story they want to discuss is that last week, Florida Democrats flipped a state House seat from red to blue. Democrat Tom Keene defeated Republican Erica Booth in a special election, 51.3 to 48.7. It's a seat in a competitive district that has pretty even amount of Democrats and Republicans and independents. The Democrat Keene apparently won about 65% of independent voters. They say it gives a possible glimpse at what November elections could look like in Florida. Okay, it's an interesting story. Appears to be a loss for DeSantis. I don't know. Maybe he'd been too busy on the campaign trail. Maybe that's the point they want to make. He's not focusing enough on his home state. Okay. The Florida Democratic Party pitched us, and twice we said, okay, we'll have you on. But they know I'm also going to bring up the fact that the state party decided President Biden should be the only Democratic candidate on their primary ballot, leaving off, in particular, Democratic Congressman Dean Phillips, who tried to get on the ballot. He didn't miss the deadline. Florida Democrats just submitted their official list before they had to. It was an effort to protect President Biden as the only candidate. But you see, Chairman Fried only wants to come on this show for one reason. And look, we see this on both sides, right? They come on, okay. You want to come on with a particular talking point? Fair enough. If we agree to have you on, we'll talk about that. But Nikki Fried, the invitation is open. I'll talk to DeSantis. But I'm not going to avoid asking you some questions as well. Voters deserve to hear an explanation. Why shouldn't they have more choices on the ballot in Florida? We've replied to your emails, been following up over the past month, trying to get you on the show. Ball's in your court. Come on, it must be tempting. You'll get to bash Ron DeSantis. Come on, it'll be fun.
Welcome to Unsanctioned.
Years, Commissioner Brandon Arrington has voted to approve every new home development, while taking tens of thousands of dollars in campaign contributions from developers who caused our local traffic crisis. Brandon Arrington cannot fix our traffic crisis when he was the one who caused this disaster. Political advertisement paid for and approved by Osceola Action Committee, P.O. Box 7000112, St. Cloud, Florida 34770.
That's right, John. That's exactly right. And thank you to Osceola Action Committee for that excellent commercial. Osceola Action Committee, they're out there, they're fighting back, and they're taking it to Brandon Arrington.
Yeah, I think that several things that I want to talk about in this intro, right? We had this Nikki Fried issue.
Duck in the media, John.
Yeah, duck in the media. So first of all, I guess she only likes the media when she can take a picture of herself or when she can record herself cursing,
Right.
you know, and then acting like she's tough or something. And she loves to insult Republicans, but she forgets that she was absolutely hammered in the Democratic primary. Yeah. She didn't even win her own Democratic primary.
Nope.
Right? And then the governor candidate for the Democrats, now I'm not talking about the one who got caught naked, toes up with butt cheeks up, right? Toes down, butt cheeks up, with a bunch of crack in his hotel room. I'm talking about the other one who used to be a Republican when he won, lost.
The biggest flip-flopper ever.
Lost as an independent, lost as a Democrat, and didn't just lose. He lost by, I think, the widest margin in our gubernatorial history.
Yeah.
Right? So this is something that Nikki needs to keep in mind, reality, which Democrats are not good at doing.
No.
So, of course, she's going to duck any journalist, any real journalist who has questions about the Democratic Party. She's not going to go. She's not interested in that. She's just interested in tweets.
Make no mistake about it. Myself and John are not fans of Dan Abrams. You know, we don't care for him very much.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
don't
we
know.
know who he. I know who he is.
I don't even know who he. I don't follow him at all.
No.
Don't know anything about. But I mean, it's a good point out, right? I mean, if you're gonna subject yourself, if you're gonna subject the world to your thoughts on Governor DeSantis, then subject yourself to questions at the same time.
Yeah.
And by the way, I did see the governor this morning here in Orange County. We're in Osceola County now, but I saw him earlier in Orange County. We'll talk about it a little bit later in the show. And then this ad. So this ad is addressing Brandon Arrington. I don't know that he's the worst county commissioner, but he's the worst county commissioner who's been in office the longest, right? Janer has not been in office that long. Grebe is not so personally offensive. I believe that she's corrupt, right? She definitely benefits from being a county commissioner. So I'm not going to defend her in that way, but she's not personally offensive, right?
No.
She's not like an arrogant jerk, you know, like she's not like a mutt who needs to be adopted from a dog shelter the way that Brandon is.
And she's not a part of a family of corruption.
I mean, we don't know that. I don't know anything about her
That's
family.
true, yeah,
right?
we don't know
And you
both.
can't even assume that. You're right. You would be better off assuming their genders before we were better off assuming that they didn't come from corrupt families, because Brandon comes from a corrupt family.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. But that's what makes him.
Which
the
is your
worst.
point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but Brandon, he by far is the worst. So you have like useless idiots, right? Like Ricky, but then you have this guy, and this guy is absolutely corrupt to the core. I don't think that he cares at all about the community. He's just straight up, him and his wife, Cruella DeVille, straight up just causing damage wherever they go. They're like tornadoes, right? They are coming through the community like a tornado, destroying everything in their path. And this ad was well timed. Interesting ad, right? Of course he's not going to solve the development program. He is the development man. He's the development guy. If you have a development that you don't like, if you sit in traffic and you don't like traffic, this is the guy to blame, Brandon Arrington.
That's right.
And so you need to know where to place your anger, and it should be all directed right there. Brandon, we'd love to have you on the show. I'd love for you to come here, sit between me and Tom, and have a show. He's ducking us the way that Nikki's ducking this other guy, Abrams, right?
He ducks the public all the time.
He ducks the public all the time. And God, don't worry, Brandon. I'll speak English for you, because I know when people speak Spanish, you just lose your mind, right? If somebody speaks Spanish, Brandon loses his mind, right?
He might throw you out of the room.
He might throw you out of the room, have me arrested. But okay. So, anyways, let's move on. Okay, so we're gonna say a quick little prayer now that we've thoroughly done that portion of the show. And we're going to say a little prayer and then get right into the rest of it here. So, Lord, thank you for allowing us to be in the great state of Florida. Continue blessing this state. Continue keeping our state free. Continue providing this state with conservative leadership that puts children in the hands of their parents, doesn't try to rip the children out of their families' hands, doesn't try to indoctrinate children in education. This is the reason that this state is so much better. Keep the taxes low, keep the jobs high. Please help Osceola convert into a conservative county so that we can actually get some of the rest of the great things about Florida in Osceola County that the Democrats here in Osceola County prevent us from having. In your son's name, Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. All right, let's get into some state of Florida news.
Down to Florida, we welcome you to the Sunshine State.
All right, so a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about tonight, John, is issue-based around things that are happening in the state of Florida. But the big news, and something that we both were kind of surprised by, is Joe Gruters.
Yeah, so this I did. Yeah, I saw this when you sent it to me. So here's my thoughts on Joe Gruters. Joe Gruters was certainly not a bad chairman of the Republican Party of Florida, right? You can't say that he was bad. In fact, under his leadership, Trump won, yeah. Right? Trump won and DeSantis won, right? So, I mean, and they won big. They didn't win small, they won big. And also through part of his term is a lot of the numbers. We're at almost nearly 1 million more Republican registrations, and part of that came through his term. So, I mean, and he came out for Trump. Trump is the guy who's going to drive this RNC chair position, and yeah, right. And Trump is he's a fan of Gruters because Gruters has been with Trump from the very beginning, and he came out ahead for him. And I think it cost him, right? And he got into a little spat with the governor over it.
Yeah.
So and he's less problematic than this guy Whatley, right?
Yeah.
So Whatley has some issues right now that would maybe be a distraction for him in running that the RNC. So Gruters to me is a great pick. He was a good senator and for the state of Florida, and he would be a great pick for this. And I hope that Trump does pick him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know about this Whatley guy. I hear that this Whatley guy is a great guy also, to be honest with you. He's from South Carolina, right? And he's a big Trump guy also, and so I wouldn't be surprised if he was picked.
No.
And I think that he may have a little bit more across the country kind of connections.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know if that's the case or not. It's just what I heard and
Well,
researching.
yeah, they're saying that it's between him and Whatley, and supposedly Laura Trump is going to be
I saw
co-chair.
that.
So,
And I love that. Good. Good. You know that they're going to be doing the right thing in this presidential election with Laura as the co-chair.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
they're going to be doing the right thing because we heard the recording of Carrie Lake getting bribed to stay out of politics. You don't think that's going to happen with anybody who's at the RNC?
No.
Right? I mean, remember, I don't think with Laura Trump, you're not going to have $700,000 of flower expenditures like Ronna McDaniels, right? So they spent $35,000 on election software. They spent $700,000 on getting flowers. I mean, have you seen those numbers?
Yeah.
We need to go over that. We need to go over that in the next show. I mean, just to drive it home with you, in case you missed it, in case anybody missed it. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that'd be great. That's great news for Gruters to go there. I hope he does.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so could Florida homeowners say goodbye to property taxes, John? This debate's heating up.
Yep, and this is great, right? You have Nikki Fried. They're always complaining about some of the things that are going on. But here's the thing. We are about to live in a state without homeowners, without taxes on your homes. I mean, what is more just than that? I'm not sure that there's anything more just in the world than not having property taxes.
No.
And so, no property tax is just a gigantic. Your home is going to increase in value, right? It's going to increase every year. So every year you get more of your tax money back. You get a raise from the government. Finally, things are working in a way that we would expect them to in a just society. Which it's not a racist program, right? It doesn't matter whether you're black, white, Hispanic, whatever, or Chinese, anything that you may be. Your home is going to increase in value, and that means that you save more money by not having to pay property taxes. I hope that this passes. I pray that this passes. It's also a great equalizer for home insurance until the home insurance problem gets resolved.
I
right?
sure hope so.
So,
I sure hope so.
I mean, that's my hope too, right?
Yeah.
That they're gonna. I pray that they're working on it, right? You're gonna have a lot of interference with that. There's gonna be a lot of interference in that situation.
Yeah.
But if you remove property taxes, right, and then you allow the insurance companies to have a free market, right, to be in a free market environment, then I think that things will, you will get equilibrium in that space, and then we will be back just fine. And then in the end, every single year we'll save more and more money through that property taxes. So I pray that this passes. I'm going to go testify for it in the Senate. I mean that's how much of a fan I am. Listen, veterans, 100% disabled veterans don't pay property tax, right? There's already a mechanism for this. So this is something that every American, you should not have to pay a tax on the property that you paid for with the money which you earned and paid taxes on already. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, couldn't put it any simpler, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's for Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah. So let's move on to Barbara Corcoran, one of the sharks from Shark Tank. She's saying that forget about Florida and look elsewhere in the U.S. to buy a home. Now, what she's basically saying, John, is...
Man.
They're saying that Gen Zers and millennials are relocating to different cities and states. And she agrees with this decision. She's saying that go anywhere that has a poor school district where prices are really low. Though she did note that the strategy is best for people who aren't looking for a place to raise a family.
No kidding.
Cheaper property.
No kidding. I mean, this doesn't make any sense. First of all, I'm fine with the advice that she's giving out. Please don't come to Florida, especially if you're coming from the West or the Northeast. Don't come. We're full. We're packed. We're chock full. Don't come. Okay, that's fine, right? But what terrible advice. Go to the place where they have the worst school district, right, and buy your home. What does that mean? That means you're going to have a cheap house where you're going to have the highest crime, the least amount of services, right, and the least amount of potential for growth, right? So, I mean, maybe you're going to go to some beautiful place in Alabama where they have a terrible school, but they have high crime, and then you're going to have to wait for 200 years, have children, raise them in a crappy school district so that you can make $100,000 on the value of a home. It doesn't make any sense, right? You have to balance all of those issues. That's the mind, is just my opinion. That's the advice from someone, an octogenarian or something, who they don't have any kids. You don't have any future. It's not about that. It's just whatever's cheap right now, that's what's going to work, right? Because these people have futures. We don't even know. Our society, as you can tell, right? Because you know how crazy Democrats have become. You're not even guaranteed 50 years of stability in the United States anymore. That would have been great advice in 1950 when you knew that the United States was going to be the prime player in the world forever, right? So it doesn't matter where you bought, your house was going to increase. We could be you elect a Democrat again, we might have a nuclear war in 10 years. And then what happens? You got a cheap house with a crappy school district, for those 10 years. And that means high crime. So,
well, it's great advice too from a person who's a potential multimillionaire who wants to buy property in Florida.
Sure, yeah.
Don't buy in Florida.
She's also, what she's doing is decreasing the amount of pressure too on maybe the home demand, which would help us here. Okay, so that's possible.
Yeah.
But listen, this is a societal issue, which we're going to talk about in the show too, because we're going to have other stories, right? This is a societal issue. They're trying to make us a home ownership free country. Yeah. Okay? They are trying to run the American family away from the idea that you should have property of your own. And you cannot give in to that idea. What you have to do as an American today is fight for your right to own property, to own part of the United States. Listen, I think it's 10% of billionaires earn their money in real estate, right? 90% owned it in venture real estate. If you're not a millionaire today, you might be able to get there doing real estate, right? If you're not already a millionaire. But if you have no future, no whatever, and all you can do is get a job and whatever, you need to focus on building assets. Yeah. And a home is the easiest asset. It's one that you can occupy, right? So why pay rent to somebody else? I mean, we need to fight as Americans for this, for continued home ownership being part of our culture.
Absolutely. All right, so this plays into this, John. This insurance, two private Florida insurance companies are proposing a 50% rate increase. And this is how they're pushing people out of their homes, John, with these outrageous rate increases on
this is terrible.
Insurance. And we have a video about that, and they're going to talk about that a little bit here.
It's terrible.
Or not one, but two private insurance companies have asked to raise homeowners' insurance rates on some policies by more than 50%. Castle Key and Amica are both asking to do that in Florida. We are joined right now by Paul Handerhan. He is the executive director and president of FAIR, the Federal Association for Insurance Reform. Paul, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So these two companies wanting to raise rates by 50%. Do you think they're outliers, or is this going to become the norm? Are more and more companies going to say, look, if we operate in Florida, it's going to be costly?
Yeah, I think it's pretty consistent with what you're going to see across the board. And there are several drivers that are increasing rates. From an economic macro perspective, you're seeing inflation is still having an impact. You're seeing the real estate prices in Florida continuing to increase, and they've really increased the inflation and real estate prices like over the past 3 to 4 years. So as people are seeing every single year their insurance rates go up, a lot of that is tied to those macroeconomic factors. Outside of that, people are experiencing a lot more claims having to do with weather events.
State lawmakers said that they're addressing this. There was a big legislative package last year, though some questioned if it would actually lower premiums. And they did admit, well, it's going to take some time to see some results. Is there any indication that it's working?
Yes, there's a lot of data that shows the changes that the legislature made from the claims perspective really is having an impact. So the loss costs, the claim frequency, the litigation rates are all going down. So that trajectory is very good. And you would think, well, since we got a handle on the claims situation, that rates would go down. And that would be true were it not for these macroeconomic factors that we spoke about, like rising inflation, rising costs of real estate properties, and then these increased claims that we're.
So here's something I want to address really quick, right? These macroeconomic issues that he's talking about is Joe Biden economic policy. And we have to make that very clear. He's talking about Joe Biden's inflation, okay? He's not talking about anything. He's talking about literally the cost of everything is going up. So listen, there's all kinds of bad actors in everything. When you have a free market economy, what you have is like these buffer areas, these gray areas, where you have Americans just doing their business, buying, purchasing, supply and demand. Those are all the market forces that are taking place. Then you have these bad actors, right? Like you have really smart people that they decide, I'm gonna get in on this law. There's a law. Some politician writes a law, and either it's driven by a lobbyist who creates that law to create a space for some bad actor to come in and do something bad and take advantage of it, become a billionaire, and then they close that loophole so that it doesn't destroy our entire economy, and then it takes a little bit of time to recover. Well, that's what he's talking about. So this is a big issue in Florida is like roofs and insurance and adjusters and all this stuff. I'm not saying anybody's a bad actor in this situation. I'm just saying is there's some holes, there's some gaps. A whole bunch of people, once they realize that you can become a billionaire being an insurance adjuster, boom, you get it. Everybody gets into that business. Everybody's getting a new roof. Everybody's doing this. Okay. And you can say, okay, well, at least we're dealing with a problem, right? Because these roofs are old. Right now, we have like crap construction in Florida, and your roof fails. It dies after 20 years. These insurance companies know that there's been so much construction since 25 years ago. Over the next 20 years, everybody's going to have to replace their roof, right? And so now insurance companies are like, we can't deal with it. We're going to get out. We're going to increase insurance rates. Why? Because they have to stay their billionaire selves, right? They have to continue making their money. God forbid they don't reach their profit margins, right? So that's what insurance is all about. It's all about ripping you off. It's like gambling. Insurance is like gambling. The house never loses, right? And so that's what's going on, and that's what he's talking about. So the only way that we can win, right, is number one, deregulation. Florida needs to be the king. It needs to be the space where deregulation occurs so that free market forces can rule over our economy. When that happens, the American people will win. Then the insurance companies will want to make money, but they're not going to be able to rip off Americans, right? And that's what you want. So he's talking about Joe Biden. The one thing that we cannot control is the fact that we have a president with dementia that's ruined the economy. And that's what he's tied. That's the big difference. So right now, the governor, through his leadership, is creating a state where the problems are being reduced. It's coming back down to normal. It's fixing itself, right, through free market forces. But Biden's economy is adding 15% to everybody who works on those houses. So when you include that and everybody else, and they still have to make their money, they might be paying the insurance company, and I'm going to close here, the insurance company cost may be increasing 20%. They want to increase the rates by 50% because every transition has to lead to more profit for an insurance company. That's the casino's house always wins type of situation.
Don't be fooled by the Democrat Party of Florida because they are going to be running on these issues. They're going to be talking about that the state's on fire, that all these things are wrong, and that they're the ones that are going to save the day. They are not going to be the ones that save the day. Believe that.
Great point. Because listen, the way that we resolve these problems is by more conservative values. That's right. The way we resolve these problems. We don't resolve these problems by more government control. Government created the spaces for these things to go bad, right? And the only time that government should step in is when the people are being abused. That's the only time they should step in. Otherwise, stay out. So I think, but let's keep watching the video and hear what he has to say.
Actually, I cut it off.
Did you? Oh, okay, forget it then. Let's move on to the next thing.
All right.
Anyways, Tom is 100% right. The Democrats are going to run on this insurance issue, but the Democrats are not going to resolve your insurance issue. That issue is being resolved. And when things recover, for 2 years of Trump's presidency, right? Florida is going to be in the best position ever. You're going to get 2 years of solid economic growth. You're going to have a free state. You're going to have zero property tax, right? These insurance people are going to get brought under control, right? I mean, it's the best situation that we can ask for. So you have to don't be manipulated by these false advertisements of Democrats are going to come and resolve a problem that they've never done in the history of mankind.
No, government always messes things up. Remember that. So, next up, we are going to talk about, I think we touched upon this a little bit, this legislation that was up. It was about, but it's offending LGBTQ students. So
Wait. LGBTQ people being offended? I don't understand. Those things that does not compute for me.
Well, you know.
Do we have a video for this?
No, but we do have a little bit about it. We're
right.
talking about this Florida bill, which would ban pride flags from government buildings and university campuses. And basically what it says is House Bill 901, a government entity may not erect or display a flag that represents a political viewpoint, but not limited to a politically partisan, racial, sexual orientation, gender, or political ideology viewpoint. And I guess it's upsetting some people, John. It says this proposal was introduced by Republican Representatives David Barrero of Sweetwater and Randy Fine of Brevard County. Bill is now in the State Affairs Committee after winning approval in 2 previous committees. I see nothing wrong with this, John.
I like Randy Fine. I don't know David Barrero, but I do like Randy Fine. I think that he's like a fiery guy. He looks like all chill, but he's not policy-wise. But this is ridiculous. You know, here's the thing. I'm not a big fan of this law, and I'll tell you why. I don't think that this is overreach by the government. We're giving the government too much power. They have too much to do. The best thing that the government can do in any situation is get out of it. Stay out, stay away from it, don't touch it, right? The only time they should step in is when they see the American public being abused. That's the only time the government. So here's the problem. Now you have these abusive people, bureaucrats, people who work for the government in one way, shape, or form. Either you're some crazy nutty college professor or some crazy nutty superintendent like the one that's been harassing me on Twitter, or whatever else that you have, some crazy bureaucrat, and they want to hang a gay pride flag or Black Lives Matter flag or whatever, anything that's contrary. You're going to create controversy, you create the problem, and then the government has to step in. You're basically inviting the government. It's the same with the books, right? If you invite these crazy books into your school, then prepare to come get your colonoscopy by the federal government or by the state government because you can't handle your stuff. And that's what's going on here. There's been so many bad actors, but it's good because teachers also, if you're a teacher and you have a BLM flag in your classroom, you're wrong, right? If you have a gay pride flag or you have any flag, like it's like me, right? It's not even a national flag.
No.
Like, you know, like if I were Brazilian and I had the Brazilian flag in my thing and it's like an ode to my country or whatever, okay, fine, right? But when you're making a political statement, right, and you have like a Trump flag or you have a BLM flag,
yeah, I mean,
in a classroom,
matter, you know, what kind? If it's a Trump flag, if it's any of these kind of flags, it doesn't belong there.
In a classroom, absolutely not.
No.
Right? Does it belong on the state building? Absolutely not. There's already laws. You know what? I already had people, you know, I have my car wrapped, right? Of course, I'm running for Senate and whatever. I have my car wrapped. It's got my name on it and whatever. And I already had people calling me, warning me, hey, listen, these people are trying to do this with your car. They're trying to complain about your car and whatever. You know, and I'm like, come on, right? Come on. This is on my personal car. But if I did that to if I used the government funds, if that was a school district paid vehicle or something, that would be a problem. So just keep politics out of our government services.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's simple.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I hate the government has to become and smack somebody on the wrist over this with a ruler, but it's better to smack them on the wrist than for them to be able to be smacking their students or the civilians, you know, and citizens on the wrist.
Yeah, absolutely, John. All right, John, so before we go to Osceola County, we have an important message from you.
In my last ad, I spoke a lot about the problems facing our nation, and compared to California, Central Florida seems like the ideal place to live. Beautiful weather, no income tax, and freedom. But we have other problems wreaking havoc on the lives of Central Floridians. Overdevelopment, traffic, high property taxes, out of control homeowners insurance, drugs, human trafficking, and corrupt local politicians. Our education, although better than most states, still celebrates 50% proficiency as a victory. And yes, we still have some crazies trying to convince our kids that their God-given gender is wrong. Several of them are even running for state senate. They want you to believe that keeping books like genderqueer in our public schools is the most important item for people like you and me. They don't care about inflation or high taxes or gas prices. They only care about hanging a pride flag at the state capitol. But nobody cares about pride flags when you sit in traffic 3 hours each day because county commissioners don't know how to read a map or run their counties. And there are no unmedicated people advocating to keep books like genderqueer in our public school libraries when our kids aren't even reading at grade level. And parents like you and me, we're not concerned about woke agendas when we're trying to calculate in our minds if we have enough money to put gas in our cars and buy milk for the children we're trying to protect from groomers. Us, everyday Americans, we're tired of the hypocrisy. We're tired of politicians telling us that there's nothing they can do, and then watching them move mountains for themselves and their friends. I'm a different type of leader, and I have a different plan to make Florida the freest state in the country for everyday Americans, not just well-connected politicians. And while my ideas are faith-based, constitutionally driven, and civically minded, my policies benefit everyone, no matter what you believe. My platform is designed to protect our families and values, protect our state and country, protect our businesses and our economy. This allows families to focus on the 3 things most important to them: their own faith, their own families, and their own businesses. Florida has one of the best governors in the country, and now it's District 25's job to send the best person to serve you in the state senate. My community knows how hard I was willing to fight for my country over more than 800 days in Afghanistan, and the people of Osceola County have already seen how hard I work to protect our kids on the school board. I pledge to you that I will work just as hard and fight just as hard to represent you in the state senate.
But we make the rules, and the people are fools, and they vote for us time after time.
All right, that's right. We are here at Osceola County, the most corrupt county in Florida that we know of. And we're going to start this off, John, with a little headline about Kissimmee. A new development to redevelopment. Kissimmee changes tack as it runs out of land. And watching this video, we watched this beforehand, John, and some of the figures were scary. And people are going to see this now with this video. So watch this.
News 6's Emily McLeod spoke with city officials about how they plan to keep Kissimmee moving forward.
The city of Kissimmee has seen a major population boom in the last several years, and city officials expect that boom to continue. The problem is that they're running out of space to grow. So city officials are looking at properties like the old Kmart here on Vine Street and seeing how properties like this could best fit the needs of this growing city. The gist of it is the city of Kissimmee has grown so much that we're trying to make the best of the land that we have left here and how to get the most out of it. And so the goal is to have this consulting firm come in and help you all do that. That's correct?
Right. So the city is pretty much running out of land to develop. So we're switching from new development to redevelopment. So things like the old Kmart on Vine Street might get torn down, and apartments and businesses may go there that are multi-story and much more intense than they were when it was just the old Kmart.
Director of Development Services for the city of Kissimmee, Craig Holland, says the city only has 700 acres left of undeveloped land, but adds 550 of those acres are already slated for development. What is it about redevelopment that you all think is the best option for the city moving forward?
It's not really necessarily the best option. It's really our only option. We have 2 or 3 big pieces of land that can still develop that are just undeveloped. And then the rest of it already has something on it that has maybe reached the end of its life cycle or is not being used to the best of its potential.
Holland says they want to see a lot of community feedback during this project. What kind of feedback are you all hoping that the public will give to the consultants during this process?
So basically any kind of feedback is always positive. So we want kind of how they feel the city should grow over the next 10, 15, 20 years, how things currently are going. Have we done a good job? Have we made some mistakes? Things like that. And then just what their hopes for long term and as we grow and as we change as a city.
The first community meeting is scheduled to take place sometime in March. In Kissimmee, Emily McLeod, Getting Results, News 6.
All right, so that's scary to think about. There's only 700 acres of undeveloped land in Kissimmee, and 550 acres of it, John, is scheduled for development already. So
it's nuts. I live within the city limits, and you got to wonder how they're counting that 700 acres, right? And how they're counting that 550 acres exactly. But they could grow the city, right? The city has more space to grow. The city could annex more land. The city could do what St. Cloud is doing. I'm not saying that that's a good idea. I'm just saying that these figures are scary. They're talking about, but it's not scary because they're running out of land, in my opinion. What makes it scary is that nobody's controlling the amount of growth. You're talking about putting another apartment complex, right? So at first we're joking around saying these are going to be Kmart apartments. You're going to go into a Kmart and you're going to live it on like, aisle 6 or whatever, or how does that work? But they're going to tear it down. They're going to build apartment complexes there. Okay, fine. But you know what this looks like? In 20 years from today, this is going to look like Colonial Drive in Orlando. Yeah. If you've driven down Colonial Drive in Orlando, this is exactly what they want 192 to look like. Yeah. And that's not a good idea. Unless Osceola County wants to be Orange County, exactly like Orange County, that would be fine. But that's exactly what's happening. So they're turning Osceola County into Orange County. To me, in my mind, that's not a good idea. No. Osceola County has a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity right now, once-in-a-generation opportunity right now. Because of the amount of land that we actually have in the county, I'm looking at a map right here, we could plan what this county is going to be for the next hundreds of years. We could plan what this county is going to be, right? Like they talk about chips. We could become a chip manufacturing, but it's never going to happen when everybody's so corrupt in the process of development that the only people that get that benefit from every deal that happens here is the politicians and the developers, right? You can't do that. We can be the biggest, best county in the entire United States with the amount of land that we have and all the resources that we have. The fact that we're less than an hour from beaches, the fact that we're right in the middle of the state, we have I-4, we have the terminal, we have all this stuff, all this opportunity. But the people are raping the land right before our eyes, and they're selling all the citizens out. There needs to be leaders in Osceola County who are going to plan a development that makes this county the greatest county. Right now, they're just trying to sell it, become billionaires, and get the hell out.
That's right.
That's the plan. What we need to do is make sure that the families that stay behind have something that's worth it. And it begins with getting all of these corrupt politicians out of office. That's where it begins, right? And God forbid, what would we find if we had 5 new county commissioners? What would you find behind those curtains? Man, the skeletons would be like, it would be like the Pyramid of Giza.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Can't even imagine, yeah.
And
So-
it starts this election cycle.
It starts this election cycle.
We need to get some new blood in there, especially at the supervisor of elections office. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jim Trotz, please. He needs some petitions signed. We're at the Osceola County Fair.
Yeah,
Come
if
down
we didn't say that. Yeah, we're at the fair. Come down, join us at the fair. My big Arguello Monster Army truck is out here. Same with my little go-kart, my little roller skate is out here. Come in, come join us, say hi, sign the petitions, go to the FRA booth, sign the petitions, and
help these good candidates
help
out.
these good candidates out. Yeah.
All right, so next up, John, how do you feel about these rental home communities, John? Because originally,
I think it's the worst thing ever.
Originally, they were just basically for Airbnbs and for vacationers that were coming to town, but now more and more it seems like they're being built for people to live in. And Pulte Homes is teaming up with Invitation Homes to deliver rental homes in Tahokwa. Now, Tahokwa, if you're not in Osceola County or if you're around Osceola County, you never heard of Tahokwa. It's this gigantic development that's sandwiched in between Kissimmee and St. Cloud. Here's an artist rendering of what they imagine it's going to look like, parts of it. And
I think that's what it looks like now, yeah.
Yeah, kind of like, there's tennis courts, it looks real nice, but... yeah, they're doing a bulk sales arrangement with one of the largest in the nation rental home companies, and I don't know. I just see them popping up all over Osceola County, John.
So you
east
can't...
side of St. Cloud, in the middle of St. Cloud, just homes, single-family homes, but
For
you
rent.
can never buy them. They're just for rent.
This is a travesty. I think we talked about it earlier in the show. Homeownership is part of like the American thing, right? It's part of our American culture. Homeownership, it tells you you've gotten to that middle class, and now now they're removing that aspect of American, society, removing homeownership. It's no fault of Pulte. I actually like this company. They're a very good company. I don't know anything about Invitation Homes, but the problem is, man, to develop huge swaths of neighborhood. We're talking about how much we don't have land. There's very limited land. And now you're taking it all and you're giving it to a corporation. I mean, it's not good. It's not good for our country. It's not good for our country to lose the dream of home ownership. And that's what these rental properties do. I mean, it's just, come on. It's not good. It's not good for society. I don't blame the developers, of course. This is what they want to do. They want to make the most amount of money.
It's almost like an agenda to eliminate the middle class, John.
Yeah. I mean, I can't argue with that. It's definitely not good.
No. So, unfortunately, we see these things popping up, and if you see them come up on an agenda to a local city council meeting, go there and oppose it, please. Pine Grove, John. This is on the east side of St. Cloud. They're concerned about proposed development, and most residents within the county are concerned about development. They're looking to bring 97 units to a 16-acre lot along Pine Grove Road on the shores of Lake Lizzie.
If you think that you're safe because you're out there in far east Osceola County, you're not safe.
No.
You're not safe. The development is going to come up to you, and they're going to turn. Especially if you're in the north half of Osceola County. remember, how far can you be from Colonial Drive and not be impacted by it, right? Colonial Drive is exactly what they're trying to turn 192 into. It goes across our entire county. They want that to be Highway 50, like in Orange County. And no matter where you live along that road, you can live 5 miles away from it. You're going to be impacted by the development that's created on that road, right? And if you live down in Kenansville, you might be safe right now. But they're putting that Southport connector out there. That Southport connector is going to be, so, you know, just like you have Highway 50, then you have Cimarron, right? And they're going to build, believe me, they're going to build Cimarron, no matter how much you love living out there in Kenansville. I would love to live in Kenansville, by the way. Right? First of all, I love hunting hogs.
Yeah, it's quiet, you know what I mean?
That's where I would live. I could live anywhere in the county. If I could live anywhere in the county, I would live out in Kenansville. I'd live somewhere way deep south in the anyway, so I'm getting off topic. But they're going to build a Cimarron Boulevard down this county.
Absolutely.
They're going to build an intersecting street that's going to be just like it's a Cimarron Boulevard, and it's going to destroy that hometown feel that we have, even going down deep into Kenansville.
It's on the plan.
So
It's on the plan.
I mean, just be aware. The only way that you're going to stop it is by getting rid of the corrupt politicians that we have in office right now.
Absolutely. All right, so let's watch this video. Here it is about Pine Grove.
East Osceola County are worried a proposed development could disrupt their rural community.
They say the project simply has too many units on too little land. So a developer wants to build single-family homes and townhomes on a piece of property along Pine Grove Road. That's just off 192 in East St. Cloud on the shores of Lake Lizzie. News 6 anchor Justin Warmoth joins us now, all new at 5:30, with more on this proposal. Justin.
Well, Lisa, a neighbor sent an email to our results desk concerned about the developer's plan, specifically the density of this project. She lives in a rural area. It's not something they're used to, so I called her, set up an interview, and we went out there yesterday to check it out. On a sunny winter day in East St. Cloud, it's easy to see why Jerry Lockhart loves calling this place home.
In the summer, the sun comes right up over those trees, and I've captured some beautiful sunrises with the sandhill cranes in the foreground.
For 22 years, she's had this serene view of Lake Lizzie. It's a slice of old Osceola County and one of the few slices remaining.
I'm just afraid that it's going to continue to change and continue to change, and we're going to lose the nature and the beauty of this place.
Development has been exploding all throughout this rapidly growing county, and it's now spreading closer to Lockhart's rural neighborhood. A developer is looking to build 97 living units, 82 townhomes, and 15 single-family homes on this small lakefront lot.
It just would be such a mistake. I think it would be a mistake for the environment, for this lake.
Traffic too. What about traffic?
Pine Grove Road right now, with the developments that they're putting that will access Pine Grove Road with no light at 192, which they've already been terrible accidents up there.
This is the entrance to the 17-acre property right along Pine Grove Road. Now you can see some of the density with these new homes that are being built, but that is on that side of Pine Grove. On this side of the road, closer to the lake, you see rural, low density, maybe a home per acre, and neighbors want to keep it that way.
I don't know of any other development or any other PUD on the chain of lakes at all. It's just going to change the whole atmosphere of the area, I believe.
Before the project breaks ground, though, it still has some hurdles to clear. That includes a request to annex the property into the city of St. Cloud and changing the land use designation from the county's low-density residential to the city's medium-density residential. The plans were discussed at a community meeting a few weeks ago. Did you think that the developer, whoever was there giving the presentation, were they receptive to the concerns that the community has?
I think they were very pleasant. I think they were receptive. They listened. They did listen. They took time. They did take questions. One thing that was said, which kind of stuck with me, was that we're going to build on that, whether it be city or county.
They're going to find a way.
Basically, that was what everybody came away with. They're going to find a way. Now, how much they're going to build, that's going to be
right
up to the city or the county, I'm sure. They purchased the land. They have the right to build. We're not arguing that at all. I'm just asking that everything be taken into consideration as they build responsibly.
Yeah, so, I mean, what was, and it's just like you said, John, they're coming out there. They plan on making us into Orange County. what was within the old city limits has already been built to the max. There's nothing more they can do. So they're pushing to the outskirts and the outer areas. I mean, my parents have seen the impact off Hickory Tree Road, what's happening there. Now they're going out towards Pine Grove, Nova Road. We know they're putting more of those rental home communities out there. They're putting townhomes out there. All these people that thought they had these isolated areas are they're gone. You know,
What's funny is that this poor lady here, she's like, well, they were very receptive, they were very nice, and she's being very kind and respectful about the situation, right? But then at the end, she's like, well, they said they were going to build this no matter what, right? So she thinks she's still in the phase, and we've seen this before. Yeah. She's in the frame of mind right now, like if she's nice, she's going to be nice, she's going to come, you know, they're going to negotiate, they're going to come. What she doesn't realize is this is a runaway train. It's already run over like 100 intersections of cars. It's not stopping with her. It's going to run her over. It's going to run her family over. It's going to continue. That's not going to stop with her. So your nice, respectful approach is misplaced with this leadership, right? Because they don't care. They're going to act nice to your face, right? And they may be nice people or whatever. You got Colby Urban's a nice guy, right? Ken Gilbert is nice. He's pleasantly surprising a lot of people being a nice guy, right? But they don't control how they vote, in my opinion, right? That's my thing, is they're not their own men. Like they don't decide right there looking in front of you. They're gonna have to, they're in their mind, they're thinking, if I vote with this person, if I vote with the community, if I vote with these citizens, I have the aftermath of who I'm gonna be dealing with, and those are the reasons they can't vote with you anyways. So the city's gonna they're gonna completely run you over, and it's because of the people that own these politicians, essentially, right? So, I mean, believe me, we would love to be surprised. It's nothing personal. I don't have anything personal against Colby Urban. I don't have anything personal against Ken Gilbert. We don't even know him, right? I don't even know. I mean, I've met him, but I don't know him. It's not like I'm friends with him. I don't know anything about him. It's nothing personal with a lot of these city guys, the new ones.
Yeah.
With the old ones, I got something personal against because they've been abusing the people for a long time. And after a certain amount of time of abusing the citizens of the United States, you have no excuses, right? Yeah, there's no more excuses. When you spend 8 years, like Brandon Arrington, 16 years abusing the public, Ricky Bobby, how many years has he been abusing? If he could abuse it for 50 years and make himself filthy rich, that's what he would do, right? So when you have these guys, I mean, they don't deserve the niceties. They don't deserve the respect or the deference at all.
No, because of course they're going to be nice to you. They don't
much
have any
less
choice,
reverence.
Really. I mean, you know, they are elected officials. They are in the public spotlight. They are, you know, they're always going to be nice to you.
Yeah, they're going to act nice.
But when it comes to policy, and I'm not saying you get up in their face and be nasty to them.
Of course not. Yeah.
No. But when it comes to policy and decisions, no, you don't be nice. You don't try and work around it, and you got to fight for what you want.
You have to fight for what you want because believe me, they are fighting for what they want.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are fighting for what they want, just not nice. They're just doing it in a nice way to you in person, but behind the scenes, you said it, right? You said it. So.
And you know, your feelings up against their money, never going to change.
It's never going to. It's not going to have any impact.
No. So the city of St. Cloud, John, once more, they're bringing in a litigation attorney about the roads, and we'll play this video and then we'll talk about it. But I think we both have a lot to say here.
St. Cloud could be suing the contractor that built phase 2 of its downtown renovation project. Businesses have complained that the project has left their roads with a lot of issues. West News' Paola Tristan-Arruda spoke with one business owner who is still dealing with all the aftermath.
St. Cloud's revitalization project hasn't gone as planned. The goal was to improve Pennsylvania Avenue and 10th Street, but when the construction stopped, the issues started.
I would say kind of the joke on Pennsylvania is that we're still not ever going to be finished.
Savannah Tai is the owner of Savvy Sweets Bakery on Pennsylvania Avenue. She says what was expected to be 4 or 5 months of construction has lasted a lot longer. The city hired Cathcart Construction to build phase 2 of its downtown revitalization project, which included things like new sidewalks, brick streets, and decorative lighting. But the roads aren't holding up.
A lot of those decorative pieces have still not been put into place for us. And then as far as the roads go, I mean, if you've driven 10th, you know that it is an absolute mess, which we drive it every day to get to work. So it's a little bit disappointing that they're still having to work on the same areas. We've had brickwork done in front of our parking spaces over and over and over again.
Now the city wants to make sure it gets the quality completed project it paid for. That's why St. Cloud could be suing the contractor, saying they're now in pre-litigation mediation. In a release, the assistant city manager said, quote, "We understand the public's frustration. We are not satisfied with the results either. By virtue of City Council authorizing us to bring in a litigation specialist, it is clear that the city is committed to doing whatever it takes to make the situation right and to ensure the finished product is one we can all be proud of." While Ty says she's glad the city is doing something, she's worried about what that means once again for these businesses.
Well, on one hand, yes, I want the project to be done correctly and done well. I want the things that we were promised, but it is hard to not know moving forward what that's going to look like for my business, what roads need to be closed, what sections are going to need to be redone.
We have reached out to the construction company to see if they have a response to all of this. Right now, we are still waiting to hear back. In St. Cloud, Paola Trisnaruda, WESH 2 News.
All right, so John, you know, the funny thing about this, and we've talked about this before, Cathcart did New York Avenue, and that was the first one, all right? And we were just talking about that how horrible New York Avenue is, and I think she even said that in the video. The city then went again and hired Cathcart again to do Pennsylvania and 10th. They screwed it up worse than they did even New York Avenue. Millions and millions of dollars they've spent on this project so far, and now they're going to have to go back. They're going to go to court now, I guess. They're in mediation. Who knows if it'll go to trial or whatever. Spend money for this litigation attorney. How much money we're going to spend on that. Then they have to go back and fix the roads. They have to fix New York 10th and Pennsylvania. How much more money are we going to spend on this? It is a money pit. At this point, they just need to get rid of the bricks, just put asphalt down and be done with it. Just like it used to be. We don't need this.
Man, if they do that though,
big waste of money.
If they do that, that is gigantic for them to decide that they're going to pull up those bricks.
Yeah.
And then put asphalt. That's gigantic.
That's
I don't know.
Gigantic egg on their face.
Yeah.
They already have egg on their face at this point, you know.
New York is absolutely terrible. New York is terrible. And you know, like those holes, I've talked about it on the show before. It's the most annoying thing ever though, because I see it all the time. It's like those decorative post holes. They have like a stainless steel top and whatever. It's supposed to be looking all nice and whatever. They're coming off. Like they're breaking off. So they probably cost tens of thousands of dollars, these stupid things, and they're breaking off. I've never seen that ever. How did you install something so bad that it's designed to last and it breaks?
You know, I know the story about that, John.
Okay,
I actually know the story about that. So I know you've probably seen these things before, and I actually saw a video of these things happening. Now, these are barriers that are supposed to pop up out of the street.
Do they pop up or do they put them in?
They're supposed to be in the ground, and they pop up like when an event's happening to make sure cars don't go through.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. To block off streets and stuff. Okay.
Cathcart ordered the wrong ones. All right. They sent them to St. Cloud. This is tens of thousands of dollars. Okay, for these things. They became useless, so the city couldn't use them. So that's why there's nothing there, right? It doesn't work the way it's supposed to, but it was supposed to be something they hit a button and they pop up. They ordered the wrong ones. Yes, they ordered the wrong ones, wasted tens of thousands of dollars. They decided not to spend any more money on it to buy the right ones.
Why didn't they send them back?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, man. So you got these little metal flaps that are getting torn off by traffic. That's just crazy. Anyways, New York is horrendous. And then 10th Street is even worse. How do you make it worse? You have all these problems on New York. It's so terrible. And then you make 10th Street worse? I don't get it. You would think that you'd make that thing flat and beautiful, right? But no, it's worse. I don't mean when. It's just terrible.
Well, there's rumors that the owner of Cathcart Construction has a buddy within the city. And that's why they kept getting this contract. The city will tell you that it's because they have to accept the contract from the lowest bidder, and it always happens to be Cathcart.
They don't have to. First of all, that's not true in procurement. You don't have to take the lowest bidder. You take the lowest responsive bidder So you can make a judgment call and say, you know what, we're not going to go with this one.
Right.
They didn't do that, even though they had messed up New York. Apparently, they decided to go with them anyways. Who knows if it's true that they have some friend in the city and whatever. But I'll tell you what, I've seen crazy things at the school districts.
It wouldn't be surprising.
Nobody would be shocked. Nobody would be shocked by that.
No. And, I feel bad for the business owners. I really do. They've been suffering with this for a very,
a lot
very
of them have
long
closed.
time. Yeah.
A lot of, there's several businesses closed because they didn't have the traffic that they needed to survive.
Yeah. And they were all promised this beautiful downtown, this beautiful cityscape that was going to bring thousands of people down there. And yes, when they have an event down there like the monthly market or St. Patrick's Day and the different events, it does bring people down there. But during regular business, Monday through Friday, you don't see a lot of people down there at all, and it's because of these roads and because of the lack of parking. It's just terrible, and these businesses are going to have to suffer again when they try to fix these roads. So
I like the idea. I do like how the bricks look, except that these look terrible because they're supposed to be all nice and whatever, like a brand new driveway. My mom's driveway looks better.
Yeah.
But when they look all nice and neat, it looks great, and and I do like how you can park on the street, on the side of the street, and you're on the bricks and whatever. I like that. But what a terrible job that's been done. Yeah. It's just a terrible job.
You're supposed to use measurements and make sure.
I mean, come on. They're rectangles. You can't put rectangles together?
Like
there's huge gaps.
They had the Three Stooges doing the road there.
Yeah. Three Stooges are coming back. I see them on social media all the time. Three Stooge clips. Do you see those ever?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't believe how funny they are.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I used to love them when I was a kid.
Me too. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it, man.
Well, listen, come to the fair. It's only 8 o'clock. The kids don't have school tomorrow. Make your way to the fair. Come say hello. Sign our petitions. Come to the FRA booth that's down the corridor over there, right outside the St. Cloud room right here.
Yeah.
That sign is a lot bigger in person than it looks like in our little feed here, but
it is. It's huge.
It's huge, yeah. So come out to the fair, please join us. My Army truck is out there. My little kind of roller skate is out here too. But come out, say hello. God bless you. Thank you for watching. Please like and share.
Real quick, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that's watching on Rumble. The last 2 shows, we've had tremendous growth on Rumble. Episode
4,
3 and 4.
Wow.
Just one after another. 3, we had great numbers on Rumble. 4, even better numbers on Rumble. We're hoping that this episode 5, will do great on Rumble as well. Please, if you're watching on Rumble and you're one of those people that's just watching, breezing through, hit that like button, hit that thumbs up. That helps our show. Please, if you're watching, hit that thumbs
and
up.
we're gonna, what I think that we need to eventually migrate completely to one platform so that we can accurately track, because like we put it out on Twitter. I put it out on my personal Twitter. Yeah. And nobody ever watches it on my Twitter. I only have like 400 followers on Twitter, so nobody watches it on Twitter, but we put it out there anyways. But please go to Rumble and find us, because Rumble, I think, is what we're going to stick with, and what we're going to do is share the Rumble link to everywhere. Yeah. We're going to embed it on our website, so you can go to that too. But please, anyways, go check us out, like us, it doesn't matter where. Continue watching.
Hit that like button, because that like button is the Rumble button. We could get promoted to the main page on Rumble if you keep hitting that button. So please hit that button. And yes, Rumble, Rumble's been great to us, and I've been sharing the Rumble link. So
I'm gonna start doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. God bless you. We'll see you next week with Unsanctioned America and the next episode of Unsanctioned Florida. Great night.